I mean, that's all you can do, right? Laugh.
Yeah, exactly. Laugh to hide the pain. Copium.
I think it's just more of, let's just talk. Season's done.
Well, it's a therapy session. Here we go.
That's what every face check is. Okay. Yeah, you know what? I'll leave it that in.
You want to have fun on face check, actually. It's fine.
Yeah.
Alice is going to be complaining permanently. The drafts.
I feel like people would agree, though. Also,
I mean,
this is the start of the video. We're starting there. I mean, and plus that, we're going straight into it.
I don't care. Whatever I'm saying right now, go public, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, people are going to complain a lot about like the Zeri pick, I think.
Yeah.
Right? I'm pretty sure people have a lot of problems with like Zeri picks. I mean, I do think that obviously Zeri seemed to be a problem in like all the team fights. Bot actually played pretty well in lane, I think, generally. They like solo killed them, I think, in Kate Luck's game, and they also solo killed Lucian Nami game.
Leads every time on the bot side of the map. Yeah. I don't think bot side of the map is where people are going to focus, my guy.
Summit? Who are they focusing on?
Yeah, the Ornn Jace.
Yeah.
Ornn Jace. Yeah. Constantly getting caught split pushing. And they showed a compilation of all the deaths, and it's like, you could see what he was thinking. Like every time it was warding to be safe, boom, caught. Yeah. And then like pushing wave out so that it doesn't get frozen, caught. Like every single time. So that one made sense. But then I think there was lack of engage in the composition that felt very difficult to play into.
In game one?
In game two, both games, game 1 and 2. Game 3 felt like an easier draft or to like execute. It was just you have a small window at the very beginning of the game, which you guys did. And then a great pulverized by Vulcan, in my opinion, to win it at the
Dragon fight.
Yeah. So let's start there. You guys didn't switch sides. What was strats there for the draft?
So first game, we weren't expecting Victor ban. And then they picked Ryze Nocturne 2-3, which was a very good pick, I think, by them because it denies Kate Lux. Well, it doesn't necessarily deny Kate Lux, but it makes Kate Lux worse because Nocturne obviously has a lot of value against Kate Lux. I do think not banning Ornn 4-5 was really bad in that draft because Kate Lux and Impact is very good at Ornn.
Yep.
And Ornn Nocturne very good against Kate Lux, right?
Yep.
I also think the Jace pick was worse than picking GP though.
Yep.
So obviously there's a lot of problems with like what we're picking. And obviously like I think in the first game it was like Summit died a lot to the ganks. He got like level 3 ganked I think by Nocturne and then he lived that and then he died I think to Ryze rooms like 3 times or something, 2 times.
Yeah.
Which obviously Ryze will get timers as he's playing Ryze, right? Usually Ryze will just get timers to roam and then on those timers I think he didn't respect well enough. I also think our comp in general was just lacking damage against the amount of tankiness they had.
Yep.
Their Ryze obviously became unkillable, Ornn was unkillable, Nocturne was unkillable, they had Yuumi to heal everybody, Zeri, and then Zeri just like slowly pokes everyone down, right?
Yep.
We have to engage into them. So I think there were problems with that, very big problems with like the ideas behind our drafts, and it felt like we sort of had to get ahead if we're playing these drafts. I also think that my pick was bad. I think that if we're picking Kate Lux, that I should be picking a champion that can support that a lot better than Akali.
Yeah.
I think Akali does not help Kate Lux really do what they need to do, which is get ahead, right?
Right.
And although they did get ahead, like still, but obviously, like I should probably go like something like, even though Galio theoretically is bad into Nocturne because you can't ulti when he ults, right? I think something like Galio would be helpful because we had Lee Sin, right? Sets up Lee Sin. Galio can be fine into Ryze, push the wave, dive bot, stuff like that. Can also help Jace maybe, or like whoever our top laner is against Ryze.
Yeah.
So I think maybe a Kali pick could have been, was probably just bad. And that I should have just supported the rest of the comp, probably. Leading into game 2, we felt like, I mean, obviously we had problems with our draft. We thought that we should ban Ornn.
You're right.
And I believe game 2, what happened in game 2? I forgot what top matchup was.
Let's look.
I was playing Corki. We played top something. I forgot. We picked Trundle, I believe, to make the Ornn pick worse. They ended up picking Ornn anyway. I think they picked Ornn Karma 4-5.
Yeah.
They picked Zeri Karma bot lane into the Jinx Tarm. Yeah. Which we thought that if we picked Trundle, we would sort of
mitigate the
Ornn,
yeah.
Right? Which is the reasoning behind picking Trundle. Also, we felt like Trundle in general was pretty strong in a lot of our scrim games. It hurt like Vulcan's champ pool as well, because Vulcan generally picks a lot of engaged champions, a lot of tanky champions. So,
Ali Tom, yeah.
Yeah. So we felt like Trundle pick was good, and we didn't feel like the need to ban Ornn if we're picking Trundle. I think in that game I was playing Corki, and I think that was the game where like Jojo Pin had like E-Evolve at level 6 as Victor.
Yeah. He
like
snowballed that one.
It's like a scrim game.
Yeah.
Where like I think level 3 they actually entered and they died, and Blabber killed them, and then after that Victor like slowly poked me down, and we needed to push out mid, but then we like W'd on top of Victor and died, and then gave Victor Evolve. Victor pushed out the wave, and then I think we fought again in like bot side jungle, and then Victor got another kill, and we fought again in top side jungle, and then Jarvan had Ignite for the level 6 like 2v2, and then he ignited Trundle. Trundle died, and like Victor had like 4 kills or something in like 15 minutes. It was like messed up.
It's Camille. You're playing Camille top.
Yeah, we're playing Camille top. That's right. Yeah, I remember now. Camille Trundle. So it was so many unfortunate series of events. I do feel like the game 2 draft was probably the closest draft, mainly because we had Jinx and Corki, which can outrange Zeri Victor, obviously.
Sure.
And Trundle mitigates Ornn, sort of. I think that game we actually just got behind in early game, which actually like is the biggest problem.
That's a scrim game.
Yeah, that felt like a scrim game, sort of, where it's like, oh, if we're on stage, we would like just go even, and if we're on stage, you just go even and get to 30 minutes and win the game, right?
Right.
Or get to 2-3 items and win the game.
Yeah.
Obviously, that did not happen, but there were a lot of really bad mistakes.
Game 3.
And then game 3, I was just like, I mean, we weren't sure if we didn't really want to ban Zeri, mainly because we felt like we had a good answer in Lucian Nami, and a lot of people tend to play Lucian Nami into Zeri right now in scrims, and we felt like Lucian TF could hurt Zeri, whatever, with Lucian Nami. We banned Nautilus so they can't blind pick Nautilus with Zeri to make Nami better on 3. And then we were ahead. We were definitely ahead, and then I think the Dragon fight was the biggest flop.
That one felt execution.
Yeah, that one felt like execution, where I think maybe I should have used less Qs in lane so that I had more mana, because I didn't have mana going to that Dragon fight. I could only use one combo, which hurt the Dragon fight a lot.
Because they tried to gank you in mid lane and you were able to just run out of it.
Yeah, that was when Nocturne, I think Ryze used ulti. And then Ryze used heal as well to like get in range. So I thought, oh, they have no Ryze heal, we can fight. I have Ignite on TF, because that's spellbook.
Yeah.
And then we were not able to kill Ryze in one combo because I think Lucian comboed the Nocturne instead of the Ryze.
Sure.
Which you could argue was fine. It was obviously like very close that Ryze lived, and then Alistair got a really good combo. I mean, after that it felt like we were pretty far behind. Obviously the game wasn't unplayable, but Lucian Nami, TF, we obviously have to snowball. And we lost the Dragon fight.
Yeah. Well, I think after that you were ahead, and then after that you were equal, and then after that you were 2k down basically the rest of the game.
I think after that they like swapped or something, and then Summit died.
Yeah.
And then they swapped again, and Summit died again. There was a lot of like random deaths from all of us.
Yeah. It really felt like every time that Summit was attracting pressure, it was at a point where y'all were, the rest of the team wasn't
react.
We were not in exactly. Yeah. So I think one of the things people are going to say is, how are the comms? How are the comms between the team? And how's the mood between the team at that point?
At that point, I don't know if people were like tilted. I personally was just like, I really had the mentality that like, oh, it doesn't matter, like live in it's the present moment, right? In that 3rd game at least, right?
Yeah.
I was like thinking that, and I was trying to really focus hard on like the current game, and I was trying to like shot call the best I could of what we should do, because I'm playing TF obviously.
Yeah.
And I, for example, when they swapped, Berserker actually called it perfectly. He was like, oh, they're going to swap, careful Summit, don't fight, and then Summit fought.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to say this is communication. I don't think this is communication at all.
It's funny because I remember on that death, I think if you go back watch the face cams, like Summit laughed. He laughed like, they got me. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean those sort of deaths I think are like sort of not, you can't really put down communication, right? If we're saying that don't fight, they're going to be there. And fought. It's just like that's the reality of. I mean that's just an individual mistake, right?
Yep.
I wouldn't say that our communication is great, but I do think that our main issues are not communication. It's more so our direction in the game, which you could argue is like communication-esque, but it's also just our team's ability to come up with a plan.
Yeah.
And like, sort of figure out what we actually need to do to win. And I don't think we had a good idea of what we needed to do to win. When we're playing Lucian TF, I think I could have probably set up more of my timings better in early game. But then, like, realistically, it's like we go into the team fights and our team fight is just worse.
Yeah.
That's just the reality.
And that's what it looked like.
They have Zeri, and they weren't even playing well. I would say they were actually playing a lot of fights poorly, in my opinion, where like the fights were close. In my opinion, they should not have been close. And we rely heavily on me being able to port on top of Zeri and carding her because she has no cleanse. Before Mikhail's on Nocturne. Once he got Mikhail's on Nocturne, it's like unwinnable, in my opinion. But it relies heavily on like me being able to port. Nocturne will use ult. We still have to one-shot Zeri. He has no cleanse. Hope we can one-shot him. Because if we can't one-shot him, he's going to ulti, get a billion stacks, and eventually chase us down, which happened every fight.
Yep.
So we had to be ahead, right?
Right.
We have to be in positions where we force them into a bad choke, and then we like get a card, and we like one-shot somebody with Lucian ulti or Nami ulti. And we just got behind in majority of the games. I think all of them.
Yeah.
We just got behind.
Yeah. There's a lot, I think, that you'll have a lot of time to kind of break down from this series, from the original series as well, against 100 Thieves. So I don't want to continue digging into that. Let's take a look at this season as a whole, right? The roller coaster of it all, right? From all the way from the beginning to the church to post-church to still winning everything to losing a couple games to then all of a sudden what felt like a very quick like step backwards of a squad. What did you learn from the split about yourself?
I think that I learned that focusing on my individual gameplay, I think I was focusing a little bit too much on my individual gameplay rather than on the overall team direction.
Yeah.
Whether it's in-game or out of game. I think that I could have definitely put a lot more focus on trying to help my teammates figure out their champion pools, figure out how we play as a team in early game, these sort of things where obviously like you could argue like, oh, I role swapped. I mean, my mentality was, oh, I just role swapped. I want to make sure I'm like good individually to like focus on my laning, all that sort of stuff. But I think that I could have probably done both, honestly, where I sort of like fully focused on my individual gameplay until like these past couple weeks.
Right.
But I do think that it wasn't a complete disaster of a split for me because I do think that I improved a lot and I think that I am like among the better mid laners in the LCS now. Obviously my goal was to be the best, but I think that I still improved a lot, so I'm still happy with myself on that. I do think that there's a lot more I could do within the team to help my teammates though. Specifically like in reviews and in terms of like how we talk about like champions and draft, stuff like that.
When it comes to next split, will we see Fudge in the mid lane still?
I think so, yeah. I think I really, really like mid lane. And I think that I will continue to get a lot better. And I think that my biggest strengths are being able to have a very good idea of like the overall map state and make decisions from there. And I think that's what mid laners do best. And I think that's best for mid laners. A top laner feels like it's more about like individual laning, mechanical outplays, so these sort of things where, I mean, obviously it depends on what champions you're playing, right? You can play tanks and then it's similar to like the mid lane thing where like you're just like playing for like the overall map state. But if you're playing like these Camille type champions, Jace, these type of champions, although I'm not bad at them, I do think that my strengths of in mid lane fit mid lane as a role more. I also think that it's generally just I think that me continuing to play mid lane will help me as a player in a lot. Because I think that you learn about all the other roles way more when you're the mid laner because they're way more relevant.
Right.
And I think it helps me become a lot better of a player in general. I also think that Summit's really, really good. And I think that he has very obvious weaknesses that I think if he were to fix, he would become unstoppable. But but we really need to sort of, I think, value those mistakes more, or like as problems more. It felt like these same mistakes happening of like a lot of deaths, like to like ganks, for example, I think were happening throughout the split, but sort of ignored, just because he was stomping his lane.
Yep.
But when like the lane stops getting stomped and it becomes tanked matchups, and these same mistakes are happening, then
you can't cover it up anymore.
It feels really hard, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, my overall answer to the question is that I will keep playing mid lane.
Last question. Season's done for a couple months. What's the first thing you're going to go do after this interview?
After this interview?
Tomorrow. What's the first thing you're going to go do tomorrow?
I'm probably going to go out with friends, but realistically, I'm probably going to Korea in a couple of weeks. I think I'm going to go to Korea during MSI probably, and keep practicing mid lane. I think it'll help me a lot individually, especially mechanically. Will help me a lot playing against all the really good Korean mid laners. Maybe I'll go to Texas. Anyway, just for fun, just to watch the teams play, hang out with people, hang out with fans.
You're a stronger guy than me. It would just rip me up if I went to go watch and be like, oh God.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I won't. Maybe
I'm trying to save you the heartbreak,
maybe I won't. But I mean, it's like I'm just come to accept it. We're the worst team, we're worst players. I just need to improve. It's as simple as that. I mean, like, I'm not gonna like shit talk other players just because. I mean, I don't feel like jealous of them. I mean, they played well. I think the opponent team played really well. I like playing against Josephine a lot. I honestly think that he has a lot of like potential as a player.
Yeah.
To be like really, really, really good.
Yeah.
I think that he still is really dumb in terms of dining ganks, but it's something he can work on.
Yeah.
I think he played better this series than most of the times I played against him before. So.
Sure.
And also, obviously, I like Vulcan a lot. I'm pretty good friends with Vulcan, so I'm pretty happy for him. I actually hope EG wins.
Yeah.
Just because.
Oh, there it is.
Their team's really, really fun. I really like their team, like the like personality. I also like Inspired a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm like pretty decent friends with Danny as well. I don't really know Impact though, but I don't really talk to Impact sadly. But I played like I talked to him a little bit before, but not much.
Well. You're going to Korea. It is Easter. Maybe going to Korea over this break will lead to some faith being restored into Cloud9. Yeah, there it is. I had to work it in one way.
Good job, buddy.
Thanks, man. Thanks for the interview. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks, man.